It's our first ever virtual listener lounge sponsored by Laundromax. And I want to thank the legend Neo for joining us for our very first one. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's cool.
We love you here in Providence, love you here on Hot 106. The new single is You to Love with Jeremih. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, so Neo, somebody like you, an artist who is so busy all the time, what have you been doing these last several months to occupy your time?
Oh man. Well, the first month to month and a half, I was just sitting around getting fat, to be honest. I mean, I don't get to spend a whole lot of time at home as is. So when the whole quarantine thing happened, I kind of, I was all for it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really tripping. But once, started going long and we realized, all right, we don't know how long this is going to go. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should get up and, start acting like I actually have a job. So, started, got some studio equipment to the house and started trying to record and whatnot, and then, a million Zoom interviews over the last few days, over the last little while. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm trying to keep busy, but at the same time, I must admit, I'm enjoying a little bit of this downtime. I'm enjoying not having to get up and shave. I'm enjoying, waking up and having breakfast with my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like little things that kind of get tossed by the wayside because you're working so much, things like that. So I've been enjoying it.
What's been your favorite breakfast of the last few months with the kids?
Favorite, you know what? Anything they want to eat. It varies. It varies. Sometimes the wife will get up and make pancakes and whatnot. Sometimes it'll just be Cocoa Pebbles for everybody. It depends on the day.
Now, being, obviously we've all been in the house for months now, and you mentioned the first month and a half, you kind of just chilling, but is it tough to kind of get back into the swing of things as an artist, or is, obviously somebody like you is always kind of working? Is your brain always working too? Like, have you always had like continuing ideas with music and stuff?
The ideas and concepts and inspiration, that stuff doesn't really suffer at all. If anything, this downtime helps it. You kind of block out all the extra distraction, and it allows you to just lock into that stuff a little more. The only thing for me that was a little difficult, and as I started getting back into it, is the fact that you kind of get comfortable with the concept of being at home. You get comfortable with the concept of doing things from home. Like I have friends in radio that are, doing their shows from their house, and really on some, I don't know if I'm gonna go back to the station. This is kind of comfortable. I kind of dig this, and it's the same thing with me. It's like we're now slowly getting to a place where, okay, so for example, I just did the national anthem for the basketball game, and that we went to a studio, closed off studio. It was limited people in there, and we recorded it like you would record like a video or something. And I mean, that was cool because, normally with the anthem, you get that one shot, and if you mess up, you just messed up, and it's just what it is, and it lives with you for the rest of your career. And with this, I got the opportunity to do a few takes so that I could get it all the way right, but even still, it just feels weird. You know what I mean? It's not the same. You miss, like in that situation, for example, you miss the crowd going wild at the end, and the whole mother brave, like. You don't get that now. You know what I mean? So you miss it. You definitely miss it.
We know a thing or two about working in radio and working from home. So preaching to the choir, my friend.
A lot of morning shows with not a lot of pants on. And that's been kind of secret, but hey, I roll out of bed sometimes. What do you want me to do?
Mike, do not get up right now. People have their
phones out. No, I got pants on now. It's 3:00. If I don't have pants on now, that's other problems.
All right, we're talking to Neo. It's our first ever listener lounge. Shout out to our listeners who are joining us as well. We're going to get to them in a few moments, but let's talk about the single You to Love. Now, I did try to do as much research as I can, and this is the first time you've worked with Jeremih, yes?
First time, absolutely. Yeah, so sitting in the studio, I've been working on this new album for about a year and a half at this point. Yeah, just really, searching, trying to figure out what my placement is in this new era of R&B and pop, or whatever it is you want to call it. So worked with some people I've never worked with before. I was actually sitting in the studio having a conversation with a producer friend of mine about people I've never worked with that I would like to. So I mentioned Jeremih, and he was like, "Oh, wait a minute," and got on the phone and called him up that night. So Jeremih pulled up on us, and it was just easy. You know what I mean? Like I have to give have to give the utmost props and respect to Jeremiah because I don't think that he really gets the flowers he deserves. Dude is a genius. Like he really and truly is. You know what I mean? I've had sessions where, you know, the majority of the heavy lifting was on me. But in this session, it was very much, you know, we were evenly kiltered. I'll even say he was doing even a little bit more than I was. You know, like the song, for example, he brought the beat to me. He had his parts written already. He was like, bro, this is pretty much a no-brainer. All you gotta do is write your verse. I'm like, well, all right then. So I did that, and the rest is history. I mean, the song is doing what it's doing. But yeah, really, really talented dude, man. I have to give him props for that.
I like to think he has the Neo effect, where it's like everything he's on turns into a hit because you guys, I'm happy to see you guys finally work together because everything turns to gold, and it's good to hear that he has that kind of that work ethic too, and it shows because especially these last few years, it feels like there was a point where he was on everything too. So yeah, song's dope, man. Really glad to hear everything worked out.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. That's one of two that we did that'll be on this forthcoming album.
One of two.
Oh, another one.
So we have another one coming with Jeremih.
Yes.
And did I see, Neo, that you were working with LMA?
Yeah. That's actually the reason that I came out to LA was to get in the studio with her. She's in the process of putting a new album together right now, as am I. So, you know, we decided to get in and try to catch a vibe and just see what we create. And I have to say, if I do say so myself, you will not be disappointed. I'm gonna just leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there.
What's that process like with two like very talented songwriters? You guys like kind of just sit in the studio, throw ideas back and forth, or is it usually someone brings something and then the other one follows?
I mean, it can be done. It can be done either way. It kind of depends on the writer. You know, like I said, a lot of times if it's me, I tend to do the majority of the heavy lifting. You know, but I'll say even with Ella, it was very much you know, an evenly kiltered thing. It's like, all right, well, I'll throw a line and then she'll throw a line, and it's like, I'm not sure about that. You know, and there's no egos, by the way. Like, if I don't like something, I can say that. If she don't like something, she can say that. You know what I'm saying? Those sessions are always better than, you know, you get in with somebody who head is a little too big for the room. You're like, well, what's wrong with my line? Like, here we go. You know what I mean? It happens from time to time, but it's always a good feeling when everybody has the same goal at hand, and that's quality record. That means if I wrote 6 lines and you wrote 2, or you wrote 12 lines and I wrote 1, as long as it's a quality record at the end of the day, that's what's important. That's the destination, you know.
One thing I can tell about you, Neo, is you were probably really good at group projects in high school. I feel like
oh, it was amazing. That was amazing. Everybody wanted to be my partner. Yes, absolutely.
Damn.
Saying.
Nobody wanted to be my partner. I promise you. I sometimes I had to pay just to get my name on the damn thing. It was bad.
Wow.
It's a morning show with Becca and Mike D and Neo. It is our first ever virtual listener lounge sponsored by Laundromax. I want to really quick before we get to our listeners, we got a versus battle tonight with Rick Ross and James, and you know a thing or two. You were one of the original versus battles. It's funny to talk about April feeling like, oh, it was so long ago.
So long ago, right?
It feels so long ago.
People, the funny thing, like people keep hitting me like in comments and on Twitter, like, man, when are you gonna do a versus battle? And I'm like, kind of already did. You know,
a lifetime ago, man.
Before it became the, you know, the phenomenon that it is now. Like we were one of the first couple. It was Sean Garrett in The Dream, and then it was myself and Jonte Austin, and it was more of a songwriters battle as opposed to an artist battle. And it was, I mean, it went really, really well. I feel like it was a great moment for R&B music specifically, you know, because a lot of the music that we played in the battle was all R&B, and you know, nowadays it seems like hip hop kind of gets the bigger spotlight over, you know, versus hip hop versus R&B. So the fact that it was, you know, roughly 100,000 people in the room for an R&B event like that, you know, that was big for me. That was big for me. I have heard people saying, well, you did one as a songwriter, now you got to do one as an artist. But I feel like, how does that work? Like, what, I play the same songs again? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess in that not as many people saw ours as there are that watch it now. Maybe it makes sense. I don't know.
Well, I
I'll
don't
call
know. Did you?
and see what happens.
Yeah, that's hey, we won't complain. But the way they have it set up now too, they have the artists together in a studio. Oh, did we lose Neo?
Nope. Here I am. I'm just
Still here. All
not
right.
tech savvy.
All good. The way they had Snoop and DMX set up, they were in the same studio, and it was kind of dope to see them like up there performing and feeling each other's music. Something like that would be dope because that'd be kind of a different experience for you too if the opportunity came up. So
yeah, I think that would be cool. I'd be all for something like that. I mean, as long as people didn't mind hearing the same songs again, I'll do it again. Whatever.
The hits for a reason, bro.
You were the first person ever to do it twice.
That's not a bad thing either. Nothing wrong with being first sometime.
Exactly.
That's right.
Talking to Neo, you know what? We're going to actually, you mentioned how it was a songwriter's battle, and that leads us to a question from Arthur, which is very kind of on that same theme. And so I'm going to go ahead and unmute Arthur. Are you on with us?
I am here.
Hey, Arthur.
How you doing, man?
Say hi to Neo.
Pleasure. Appreciate you as an artist and a songwriter
brother.
From the start.
Appreciate it.
And you can ask your question.
So if you are able to answer, my question was, if at any time there is a song you wrote for an artist or pitched to a famous artist who declines graciously, not understanding or feeling the potential of the record, only for you to end up giving it to another artist, and that record in turn became a major hit.
Yeah. Beyonce's Irreplaceable.
Damn.
So Irreplaceable was not originally written for Beyonce. I wrote the song initially with plans to do it myself. But after, I did it and I listened back to it and I realized as a male artist with a primarily female fan base at the time, me saying something like, I can have another you in a minute, matter of fact, she'll be here in a minute, was probably not going to work in my favor. So at that point, we then decided, myself and Stargate, we then decided that, okay, we should have a female artist sing this song. So we shopped it to a few female artists who shall remain nameless right now. Too classy, cut it out. But at least five names right? Before it got to Beyonce. Beyonce was the one and only person that heard it and went, okay, yeah, this is kind of country, yet kind of pop, yet kind of okay. Bang, it went, and the rest is history. But yeah, five different female artists, names all heard it and went, and I go, okay, no problem, thank you. Yeah, it happens from time to time. Everybody isn't always going to see the vision. But then an even more interesting thought is, had it went to somebody else, would it have been as big a hit? Like you also have to consider that. So, you kind of just got to let it happen as it's going to happen and ride the wave. Yeah.
Arthur, great question. And obviously,
great question, Arthur. Yeah.
I think everything happens for a reason. Seriously,
exactly.
If you think back on it. I'm going to invite Stephanie in. Stephanie had a question also similar to on the songwriting angle of things. Mm-hmm. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Stephanie.
I just want to say I'm a really big fan since like 06, so this is like amazing. My 11-year-old daughter is right here, and she grew up listening to you. She loves you too.
Yeah, hey.
Yes.
Anyway, so
that's love. Appreciate it.
I always hear that like your first like big song that kind of got you put on was Let Me Love You for Mario. So I was just wondering if that was like really your first, or was there like any song before that you wrote for anyone, or like how did you get him to listen to that song if that was like your first big one?
Well, yeah, that was the first one that went to number one. I had written other stuff. I had written some stuff for this boy band. I had written Marcus Houston's That Girl. That was me as well. All of these came before Mario's Let Me Love You. I got Mario to listen to that song because I was working with Scott Storch at the time. I had met Scott Storch through a chance meeting with Dr. Dre. And, we got to talking, and he was like, hey, man, if you're ever in Miami, hit me up. So I just happened to be in Miami, and I hit him up, and he just happened to be working for Mario that week. So we went in and wrote the song. Mario wasn't there when we wrote the song, which actually leads me to a funny story. So when we finished the record, I knew Mario, but I didn't know him. I knew the Braid My Hair song at the time, and the first one, oh baby, you got what I need, that joint, right? So I knew he was a younger dude, and I'm like, this is kind of a mature record. Is he gonna be able to pull this off? Like this the little Braid My Hair dude, right? Is he gonna be able to do this, right? But mind you, I hadn't met him yet. So he walks in the following day. You know what I'm saying? We met him, cool dude, super cool dude. He got in the studio and knocked that song out in an hour. 1 hour, which is unheard of, right? I had to apologize to old boy. I'm like, listen, man, I counted you out before the fight began. I'm sorry, because yeah, he smashed that, and the rest is history. But yeah, that was the first #1, and that was kind of like the marble at the top of the snow hill. You put it there and you roll it down, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, that was the one that started it all.
Unbelievable. And I love
Great stories. Great question.
I know, it really was a good question. Stephanie, thank you for that. Once again, thank you to our listeners joining us. Hot Morning Show with Becca and Mike D. Neo, our first ever virtual listener lounge, sponsored by Laundromax. Before I forget, I really wanted to take a quick screenshot. So on the count of 3, everybody just pose, smile. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. I know that was a little awkward, but I had to. All right. Lastly, Neo, before we let you go, because I know you have a very busy day, you mentioned the album.
Yes.
And just when can we expect that, if you're able to say?
Oh yeah, no problem. So I am pretty much in the finishing touches stages of this album. You know, I feel like I have everything on the album that I need. I just gotta, add the little bells and whistles, and then I'm gonna put it out. So I'm thinking mid-September, early October, you should be looking for it. Somewhere in that realm. I'll probably drop 1 or 2 more singles before then, and then mid-September, early October. In that window is when you should look for it.
You heard it straight from him. And when we're back, we're able to be back in the studio. We'd love to have you back in. Because I remember the last time you came, I don't know if you remember, you did a shot ski with us. You remember the shot ski?
Oh God, I remember the shot ski. Yeah. As I say shot ski, I feel the shot ski. Oh,
you feel the shot ski. It's hard to forget, but obviously we'll have to have some new type of regulations with the shot ski. Bring your own cup or something. I don't know, but
yeah,
we'll have to run that back.
The new norm. But yeah,
that's right.
Man, as soon as it's possible, bro. Absolutely.
Dope.
Great. Neo, thank you so much. Listeners, thank you so much. And we appreciate everybody. Have a great day. It is the Hot Morning Show.
Take it easy.
Virtual listener lounge. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Neo.
Later.